Ladies and gentlemen, you ever sit in a room full of people and feel completely alone? You ever look in the mirror and ask, what happened to me? Not in anger, not in confusion, but in that quiet voice. That still small voice, the one that whispers at 2 a.m. When nobody's texting, nobody's liking, nobody's calling, that voice is you. That's the real you. And if you don't listen to that voice, you'll be listening to everybody else telling you who you should be, and you'll be acting out a script you didn't write, performing a life you didn't direct, in a scene that doesn't even fit you. Let me tell you something right now, 2025 ain't the year for pretending. Not anymore. This is the year you focus on yourself. I'm talking laser focus, like an eagle watching its prey from 3-0 feet in the sky, locked in, no distractions, no noise, no comparisons, you hear me. Let him talk, let him whisper, let him wonder what you're up to. That silence you're keeping, that silence is power. It's not emptiness. It's construction. It's building. You're building something nobody else can see. Because when a seed is buried in the dirt, it doesn't look like much, does it? It's hidden. It's covered. It's silent, but something is happening under that soil. Something powerful. You see, growth doesn't shout. Healing doesn't post. Discipline doesn't dance for the camera. Real change, real transformation. It happens in the shadows, in silence. It happens when nobody's watching. That's where you meet yourself. That's where you focus. You know what's wrong with this world. Too many people trying to be seen before they're ready. Too many people shouting with empty hearts, flaunting what they haven't earned, boasting about what they barely understand. It's smoke, and when the wind comes, all that smoke disappears. But you're not smoke. You're fire, and fire doesn't need to talk. Fire shows up, fire moves things, fire transforms. You can be smiling on the outside and still be broken on the inside. You can be clapping for others and secretly hoping someone claps for you. But here's the truth. It's nobody's job to validate your destiny. It's your job to focus, to go quiet, to get still, to grow roots so deep that no storm can uproot you. Everybody's watching the tree, but they forgot that the roots, the part you don't see, that's where the strength lies. That's where the life begins. So stop chasing spotlight. Stop announcing every step. Stop leaking your dreams to people who can't carry them. Just walk. Walk with God. Walk with integrity. Walk with purpose. Quietly, faithfully, every day. Let them sleep on you. Let them scroll past you. Let them think you fell off, because one day they'll look up. And there you are, not louder, just stronger, not flashier, just unshakable. You know, in life, we're all climbing something. Every one of us, but the problem is, some of us are so busy watching other people climb, we forget to take our next step. We're looking left, we're looking right, who's ahead, who's behind, but I'm going to tell you right now. Comparison is a thief, a liar, a killer. Comparison will rob your peace, lie about your progress, and kill your joy. So stay in your lane, run your race. You weren't built to compete. You were built to complete a purpose, a mission, a vision only you were given. Let me tell you a secret about silence. Silence scares insecure people. You know why? Because they can't measure it. They don't know what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you're building. So they fill the space with noisy opinions, gossip, distractions, all of it. But you're a different breed. You don't need the crowd to feel confident. You don't need the applause to feel accomplished. You don't need the spotlight to feel seen. You're not driven by noise. You're anchored in truth. In focus, in purpose, and that scares people, but don't let that shake you. In 2025, you got a move like the ocean, calm on the surface, deep underneath, and no matter what crashes into you, no matter what storms roll in, you remain unbothered. Because you've done the work, you've laid the foundation, you've gone within. That's the difference between hype and depth. Hype makes waves, depth makes oceans. Some of you are going to lose people this year. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you stopped performing. You stopped explaining, you stopped entertaining, and when you stop doing that, people either lean in or they leave. Let them go, because not everyone has the capacity to walk with you into your next season. Some people loved you for your wounds, not your wisdom. Some people clapped for your pain, not your power. Some people only liked you when you were down, because it made them feel up. But now you're rising. Quietly, steadily, silently, and they don't know what to do with that. So don't talk, build, don't shout, execute, don't explain, evolve. You don't owe the world your process, just your results, so show up early. Train when no one's looking, read what nobody's reading, work when everybody's sleeping, turn your phone off, turn your spirit on, listen more, talk less, pray more, prove less, because the ones who win, the real winners, they're not the loudest in the room. They're the ones who master themselves. That's the hardest battle. Not the critics, not the doubters, not the X's, you. You versus the old you. The distracted you, the impatient you, the insecure you, the reactive you. Beat that version. That's the fight that matters. You know what maturity is. Maturity is when you can feel the fire, but not throw it. When you can hear the gossip, but not respond. When you can know the truth and still say nothing, because silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. When you're focused, you're not worried about being right. You're worried about being aligned. You ever seen a lion chase flies? No. A lion's not bothered by the buzz of the crowd. It's focused on the hunt. It's focused on the vision. That's how you gotta move. Let the noise buzz. Let the critics bark. You stay locked in. Because when your spirit is settled, when your mission is clear, when your focus is sharp, everything changes. People feel it. They sense it. You walk into a room and shift the atmosphere. Not because you're loud, but because you're real. You've done the work. You've faced the mirror. You've shut out the world long enough to hear your own soul speak. And that's rare, because most people, they're addicted to attention, addicted to noise, addicted to being seen instead of being substantial. But not you, not anymore. This year, this moment, is about investing in the one person who will never leave you, never betray you, never give up on you. You take care of that mind, feed it truth. Take care of that body, move it with respect. Take care of that spirit, guard it with silence, protect your peace, guard your energy, decline the drama, starve the ego, water the soul, because nothing beautiful grows in chaos, it grows in quiet. Even God spoke the world into existence, and then rested. He didn't keep talking. He didn't over-explain. He didn't show off. He created. And then he trusted what he created. You gotta trust yourself like that. Trust the seeds you planted. Trust the work you've done. Trust the silence, and when the time is right, oh, when the time is right, you won't need to say a word. Your presence will speak. Your results will testify. Your character will echo in rooms your name hasn't even entered yet. But it starts now. It starts today. It starts with one decision: to focus, to put the phone down, to turn the noise off, to silence the doubt, to silence the world and turn inward. You'll feel lonely at first. Don't worry about that. That's not loneliness. It's separation. It's preparation. It's elevation. The higher you go, the thinner the air. The fewer the companions, and that's okay. Eagles don't fly in flocks, so don't expect everybody to understand your silence. Don't expect applause for your solitude. Just know that every quiet day is a brick. Every unseen sacrifice is cement. Every silent prayer is an architect's sketch of your future. And one day, the world will wonder how you did it. They'll say, you came out of nowhere. But you'll know. You were never in nowhere. You were in the lab, in the gym, in the spirit, in the silence, focused, disciplined, obedient, becoming, and that's louder than anything you could ever say. In a time where everyone wants to be seen, where every meal is photographed, every opinion is tweeted, every moment is shared, there is something rare, almost revolutionary, about keeping quiet and focusing on your own growth. To the world, silence might look like inactivity, like you're doing nothing, like you're falling behind, but real ones know. Real ones understand that silence is not absence. Silence is presence. It's intentional. It's sacred. It's where the work really happens. See, growth isn't loud. Growth doesn't need a crowd. Growth doesn't shout, look at me. Growth whispers, watch what I become. And there's something deeply powerful about that. Something unshakable about a person who is fully focused on building themselves. Not for approval, not for applause, but because they owe it to themselves to become everything they were meant to be. When you decide to grow in silence, You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop trying to keep up with everybody else's timelines. You stop explaining your every move. You stop trying to be understood. Because deep down you understand something bigger, that not everything needs to be said, shared, or shown. Some things need to be done quietly, consistently, day by day. You ever seen a skyscraper being built? It takes years just to get the foundation set. Nothing glamorous, nothing viral, just dirt and steel and noise underground. People walking by don't see what's happening. They only see the empty lot, but something is happening, something critical, something structural, and the moment that foundation is done, that building rises, and it rises fast. That's how your growth works. If you do the deep work first, work that nobody claps for, work that doesn't trend, work that doesn't get likes, then when the time comes, your rise will be unshakable. But you gotta protect that foundation. You can't lay bricks in the middle of a party. You can't strengthen your spirit in a crowd that doesn't know your worth. Growth demands isolation sometimes. It demands silence, not because the world hates you, but because the universe is trying to give you space. Space to think, space to break, space to rebuild, and most of all, space to listen. Because when the world is quiet, you can finally hear you, your soul, your intuition, your calling, and those things don't speak loudly. They don't interrupt. They wait, patiently, silently, until you're ready to hear them, and once you do, everything changes. You stop asking for permission. You stop shrinking to fit in. You stop doubting your path. Because you know you've done the work. You know you've been in the dark, digging, stretching, healing, preparing, and that kind of knowing, that kind of internal confidence, doesn't come from books. It doesn't come from followers. It doesn't come from praise. It comes from the silence. Silence is your training ground. It's your classroom. It's your gym, and not everybody will understand that. Some people will think you've disappeared. Some will assume you've fallen off. That's okay. Let them think whatever they want. You don't owe them visibility. You owe yourself integrity. And if that means staying out of sight while you build yourself, do it proudly, because what's the point of being seen? If what they're seeing is half of you, a version of you that isn't whole yet, isn't healed yet, isn't ready, that's not success, that's exposure. And exposure too early can kill potential, so trust the process, trust the quiet, trust that even though it looks like nothing is happening, everything is happening. Every day you choose not to argue, you grow stronger. Every time you walk away from drama, you gain peace. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you gain ground, and no one may clap for you, no one may post about it, but you'll feel it. You'll feel the shift. You'll feel your energy getting clearer, your mind getting sharper, your purpose getting louder, not in a noisy, attention-seeking way, but in a grounded, undeniable, quiet power kind of way. And here's the truth. Not everyone deserves access to your process. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your growth. Some people only show up to measure your progress, not support it. Some only stay close so they can say they knew you before you made it. And some just want to be part of the story, not part of the struggle. That's why silence is not just wise. It's necessary. It creates boundaries. It filters out noise. It protects your vision. You don't need to explain why you're taking time for yourself. You don't need to justify your season of separation. If you're rebuilding, healing, becoming, let that be enough. Silence is not punishment. Silence is power. When you stop speaking on things and start working on things, you start seeing real change. Not the kind you post about. The kind you feel in your peace, in your confidence, in your alignment. You become unshakable because you're not reacting to everything anymore. You're not moved by every opinion. You're not distracted by every trend. You're focused. You've got your head down, your heart clean, and your path clear. And when that version of you finally steps out, when that healed, grown, focused version of you finally emerges, no one will ask why you were quiet. They'll ask how you got so powerful. There comes a time in life when you have to stop looking outward and start looking inward. A moment when the praise doesn't feed you like it used to, when the compliments feel empty, when the likes don't lift you and the silence doesn't scare you anymore. That moment is when you realize validation is shallow, mastery is deep, You can spend your whole life chasing people's approval and never get any closer to who you're supposed to be. You can live for applause and still feel empty in a room full of people clapping. Because validation is borrowed. It's rented. It comes and goes. But mastery is owned. Mastery stays. Mastery is something no one can take from you because you earned it. But most people don't want mastery. They want to be seen as great, not be great. They want to look the part, not play it. They want the image, not the grind, and that's where the pain comes in. That's where the emptiness shows up. Because the world can hype you up for something you haven't even mastered. And the moment it finds out you're not ready, it will drop you without warning. You don't want that. You don't want the spotlight before you're solid. You don't want the title before you've trained. You don't want the platform before you've built the character to carry it. That's why you seek mastery. Because when you master something, you don't need anyone to validate it. You know what you carry. You know what you've overcome. You know what it cost you to get to that level of skill, discipline, and depth. Validation is about being noticed. Mastery is about becoming undeniable. The truth is, most people only see the surface. They see the results. They don't see the reps. They don't see the hours, the failures, the doubts, the nights you wanted to quit. They don't see the sacrifice. They just see the moment you arrive, and that's okay. That's the difference between validation and purpose. Validation is about the moment. Purpose is about the journey. Let people look. Let them wonder. Let them sleep on you. While they're watching the outside, you're sharpening the inside. You're learning. You're growing. You're mastering your craft, your mindset, your mission. There is no shortcut to greatness. You can buy followers, fake confidence, even rent success for a little while. But mastery exposes the truth, because when the pressure's on, when the lights come up, when it's time to deliver, you can't fake it anymore. You either put in the work or you didn't. You either prepared or you didn't. And if you didn't, no amount of validation can save you. That's why you stay in the gym. That's why you study when no one's looking. That's why you push yourself even when nobody's clapping, because it's not about what it looks like, it's about what it is. And when you fall in love with the work, when you commit to the process, when you stop asking, did they like it? And start asking, did I do it right? That's when everything shifts. That's when you stop performing and start progressing. It's easy to impress people who don't know the details. It's easy to get a reaction when you know what they want to hear. But real growth comes when you care more about getting it right than getting it praised. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. Mastery is a lonely road. Because while everyone else is out showing off, you're locked in. Focused, ignored, uncelebrated, but that's okay. That's the cost. That's the price of being real in a world full of surface-level flashes. You're not building for now. You're building for forever. Let them have the stage. You take the classroom. Let them trend for a day. You train for a lifetime. Let them have the noise. You build the substance. Because the truth is, the world can't ignore mastery forever. It may take time, but when you're excellent, truly excellent, people will find you. Opportunities will chase you, not because you shouted, not because you begged, but because you became so good they couldn't overlook you. So be that. Be so sharp in your lane, so disciplined in your zone, so committed to the long game that validation becomes irrelevant. And that starts with a decision to stop needing approval, a decision to put in the reps when nobody's cheering, a decision to fall in love with your own progress, a decision to compete with who you were yesterday, not who's trending today. Mastery doesn't come in likes. It comes in laps. The laps you run when no one's timing you. The effort you give when no one's rewarding you. The questions you ask when no one's answering. It comes in humility. In asking, what don't I know yet? Instead of what do people think of me? Because the person chasing validation is always performing, always seeking, always adjusting themselves to please the crowd. But the person chasing mastery is rooted, grounded, unshakable. They don't need to be clapped for. They need to be challenged. They want correction more than compliments. They want truth more than applause. And when you reach that level, when your only competition is your own potential, that's when you know you've made the shift. That's when you start building something real. That's when you stop being driven by the fear of being overlooked and start being driven by the fire of being excellent. Validation is for the moment, mastery is for the legacy. Sometimes the weight you're carrying isn't your workload, it's not your goals, it's not even the journey. It's the people you've allowed to walk beside you who don't belong on your path. It's the distractions you've convinced yourself you need. It's the conversations that drain your spirit, the habits that steal your time, the chaos you call company. There's nothing more dangerous to your future than staying loyal to what no longer serves it. You can't elevate while staying connected to people, environments, or patterns that keep pulling you down. You can't fly with anchors tied to your feet. And the truth is, a lot of what's holding you back isn't the world. It's what you're unwilling to release. Distractions are seductive. They come disguised as fun, as comfort, as loyalty, even as love. But not everything that feels good is good for you. Some people show up just to keep you busy, not better. Some situations exist only to keep you entertained, not evolved. And some habits are so familiar, you've confused them with your identity. But growth requires separation. Focus requires sacrifice, and purpose requires pruning. You can't hear your calling with all that noise in your ear. You can't see your vision with all those filters in your face. And you can't walk your path with everybody grabbing your hand, trying to drag you back to who you used to be. That's why it's so important to get clear, not just about where you're going, but about who can come with you. Because not everyone deserves access to the next version of you. Not everyone is built for your elevation. Some people are seasonal, some conversations are meant to end, some circles are meant to break, and the longer you keep holding on, the more you delay your progress. You gotta be okay with outgrowing people. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. If they can't grow with you, let them stay where they are. Love them from a distance, but stop lowering your frequency to match theirs. Stop dimming your light to make them comfortable. Stop shrinking your dreams so they feel safe around you. You weren't born to be a mirror. You were born to be a mountain, and mountains don't move to accommodate people who are afraid of the climb. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your peace, your future, and your purpose to protect them. It means you've finally realized that loyalty without alignment is self-betrayal, that energy is currency, and you can't keep spending it on what doesn't bring you a return. It's time to cut the noise, not because you're better, but because you're ready to focus, ready to build, ready to live with intention, ready to trade distraction for discipline, noise for clarity, chaos for peace. The road to greatness is often lonely, not because you're unlovable, but because you're unwilling to settle. And that separation is the filter. It reveals what's real, because anyone can love the version of you that's accessible, distracted, and stuck. But the moment you decide to focus, to grow, to elevate, that's when the fake starts fading. That's when people start getting uncomfortable. And that's when you know you're doing something right. Because growth is confrontation. It forces you to face what you've tolerated, what you've avoided, who you've allowed in rooms they had no business entering. But the beautiful part of that process is what's left when the dust clears. Clarity, peace, energy. You start to realize you never needed half of what was slowing you down, and you feel lighter, you move quicker. You think clearer because you finally made space. Space for your purpose to breathe. Space for your mind to sharpen. Space for your spirit to speak. You start aligning with your real self, the one underneath the people, pleasing the constant notifications, the unspoken obligations. The version of you that doesn't need to be distracted because they're no longer afraid of what silence might reveal. And once you step into that place of stillness and alignment, you start to attract different things. Different people, people who honor your boundaries, conversations that feed your vision, moments that don't just pass time but build it. There's a rhythm to focus, a peace in simplicity. And when you finally let go of everything that doesn't match that energy, your entire world starts to shift. But don't expect everyone to understand. They're not supposed to. This isn't their path, it's yours. And your calling is not up for community vote. You don't need permission to protect your focus. You don't need consensus to choose yourself. You don't owe explanations for choosing peace over popularity. You just have to be bold enough to draw the line, to say, not this time, not anymore. I'm not available for anything that costs me my growth, because every distraction has a cost. Every toxic relationship has a tax. Every wasted hour is a withdrawal from your future, and you don't have unlimited time. You don't have energy to burn. You have work to do, purpose to fulfill, mountains to climb. So don't be afraid to walk away. Don't be afraid to be misunderstood. Don't be afraid to be alone for a while, because that space, that silence, that stretch of solitude, that's where your strength is being built. That's where your mind sharpens. That's where your clarity gets louder. And one day, when the noise is gone and the weight is lifted, you'll look around and realize everything you needed was never far. It was just waiting for you to let go of what wasn't meant to stay. You don't have to announce your grind. You don't have to prove yourself with speeches or promises. You don't have to shout from the rooftops about who you're becoming. Because if you're really putting in the work, if you're really committed, if you're really locked in, your results will do all the talking. Loud people are often empty. They fill the silence with noise because they haven't done the work to fill it with substance. They talk about their goals, talk about their next move, talk about how they're coming for the top. But talk is cheap. Anyone can say something. It costs nothing to speak on it. The price is in the execution. The sacrifice, the consistency. What speaks loudest in the long run isn't your words. It's your outcomes, the fruit. The results of the labor you did when nobody was watching, when nobody was cheering, when nobody believed in you, not even fully yourself. That's what separates those who just say it from those who are it. And when those results finally show up, there's no debating them. Nobody can argue with growth. Nobody can deny progress. You don't have to convince anybody when you've already become the proof. That's the power of silent discipline. That's the beauty of staying down until it's time to rise. Because see, the world is watching, even when it pretends not to. They may ignore you now, they may sleep on you, doubt you, mock you, but when your results start walking into the room before you do, that's when everything changes. That's when people who once laughed ask how you did it. That's when you walk into spaces you used to dream about, not because you talked your way in, but because you worked your way in. But here's the truth. That kind of success, that kind of transformation, only comes when you stop focusing on what people think and start focusing on what you do. When you stop explaining your vision and just execute. When you stop trying to impress and start improving. Because at the end of the day, nobody remembers the speech. They remember the results. People will forget what you said, but they won't forget how you made them feel when they saw the evidence. And the evidence never lies. It's in your consistency. It's in your attitude. It's in your self-control. It's in your transformation. It's in your peace, your strength, your excellence. That's what gets noticed. Not just what you do once, but what you do over and over again until it becomes undeniable. Results speak in a language louder than hype. You don't need a microphone when your life becomes a message. You don't need to clap for yourself when your presence commands respect. You don't need to convince anyone when your actions leave no doubt. But the path to that level, it's lonely, it's quiet, it's unglamorous, it's waking up early, staying late, repeating the same boring drills while others chase trends. It's doing what's necessary, not what's popular. It's sacrificing moments of attention so you can build a lifetime of impact. And the funny thing is, the people who doubt you now will act like they always believed in you later. That's how it goes, but don't worry about that. You don't need credit, you don't need revenge, you don't even need the recognition, just do the work. Keep your head down, your heart clean, your vision sharp, because results have a way of introducing you before you say a word. Success doesn't need a spokesperson. It needs a servant, someone willing to serve the process, someone willing to be patient when it's slow, willing to be hungry when it's hard, willing to be focused when the world is full of distractions. And most of all, willing to be silent when there's nothing to show yet, but still believe, still move, still build, because real power is quiet, real progress is steady, real success doesn't scream, it just arrives. And when it does, it leaves no room for doubt. The same people who used to ignore your presence won't be able to ignore your progress. The same ones who brushed you off will have to face the version of you they never saw coming. But none of that matters if you're still waiting to be seen. Don't build for attention, build for impact. Let your results echo louder than any speech you could give. Let your growth inspire more than your words ever could. Because when people see your discipline, your transformation, your elevation, they feel it, it moves them, it motivates them, and it gives them permission to believe in what's possible. That's the legacy. Not the post, not the talk, not the hype, but the undeniable truth that you showed up, you stayed consistent, and you let your results speak for you. You didn't beg for respect, you earned it. You didn't fight for approval. You built it, and you didn't need a stage to prove who you were. You let your work do that for you. So stay silent if you have to. Let them question, let them laugh, let them talk. And while they're busy making noise, you stay busy making moves. Because when it's all said and done, it won't be your explanations they remember, it'll be your elevation.